focus, which was about science in fiction rather than science fiction, and so it was a way of us thinking quite factually about a scientist, but really fantastically going out there as well, and so that kind of really began, and I think, you know, Alexei sort of was talking about how this particular film festival, and we're fascinated by that at the moment, that there's a kind of body of work coming through which is very rooted in science.
So Al and I, we worked on a different film.
Yeah.
The film that they were referring to is this film that's actually going to be shown tomorrow at the I guess the National Concert Hall. But we got to know each other extremely well. I mean, we worked on that film back and forth for 6 months, kind of 24 hours a day, and the time difference really helped. You know, they'd send me stuff at night, and they'd wake up in the morning, and they'd have, you know, we'd go back. So it was a very energetic period that we worked together, sort of hand in glove. Of course, they make the film, but it was bouncing off ideas back and forth, which is a very fruitful thing for me, and hopefully for them as well. But the basic idea of taking a scientific fact, a scientific context, a scientific theory, a scientific life, and putting it into a fictional setting allows you to highlight so many aspects that are deeply truthful, but not actually what happened in reality. And that's certainly what drove what we worked on in our film together. And clearly I think this is breathtaking. I mean, I think it's a spectacular way of taking a very influential, very tragic figure and bringing it to life in a way that's not a Nova Science documentary, which, you know, it gets the facts across, but in the end of the day, it doesn't really touch you deeply as something like this can. Oh, well, when I sit there watching a film, especially a film of these guys, I just let it happen, okay? You know, and that's how I am when I go to see, you know, I think it's a much healthier way of watching things. So I don't sit there and go, well, this and that, you know, you lose the whole thing if you do that, you know. But yes, I mean, there are moments in here, I don't know Turing's life extreme. I know something about it. I've written a little bit about it in some of my latest books. And clearly, this was a man who wanted to place human knowledge in a very systematic, organized context that allowed for a kind of deep analysis. So his work on computable numbers that's been mentioned, that was basically taking, you know, Gödel's work on the incompleteness of mathematics, that there are certain statements in mathematics that you can't really decide whether they're right or wrong within a given formal system, a given set of axioms. He placed that in a very systematic context where it can be reframed in the language of computer science, if you will. Whether or not a computer, when asked a certain question, will come to an answer, or it'll just keep on going and never halt in the language that Turing used. So it was great to see exactly as you say, you know, a mind that was a conduit from taking aspects of the world that had been discovered, placing them in a very systematic, organized context, and yet having a life that was so at odds, as you say, with what actually his work was about.